just a nice dirty sort of light to mid blue. Now I'll do the same on the other side. So that's it there. Just give it a quick go around with this. Let's just make sure it's down hard. See where it spills a little bit there, that's fine, because it's only going to go over it. There we go. Got a little rub of a bit of acetone. See? Never a problem. A little bit can stay on there because it's going to get covered and you won't even see it. Now, next thing I'll do is put my extra bits of tape on. And where'd my 2-inch roll go? Sorry, I think I brought it out here. There it is on top of my container. Right, so just a little bit of extra tape. This is the part that just stops it dripping on the board, so it goes off the edge of the tape. There we go. Now when we take this board up the coast, I'll deliver it on Tuesday, Arvo. So it's funny, we've got a couple of days away, but we've got a meeting on the Tuesday morning, and then on Wednesday Kim's got to do a meeting, like a video meeting with NDIS for the plan rollover and so forth. So we've got a few things, even though it's our holiday, but I'll just scrape that off here. There we go, get bye-bye, bit of, there. Now, so we've got a few things we've got to do, but that's all right. It's still going to be nice to get up to Bonny Hills. We love our trip we do each month. Absolutely love it. Can't say enough good things about Bonny's. It's Reflections Caravan Park, where we stay up in the cabins. The nice top of the line cabins, they're beautiful. And for us, our getting away for the weekend, sorry, I'll just mix this up. One hot mix, 20 mils. There we go. It's our getting away, you know, our little thing up there, and only stay Tuesday night and Wednesday night, but when we're up there, we're not, because we care for our parents, we're not doing anything like that. We've got to work around with Louise doing in-house respite, so we get to just do nothing. And I know it sounds silly, but you just might have a glass of wine earlier in the day than you normally would, because you just can't do anything like that when you're in the caring mode. So it's just nice to be able to have the freedom to do stuff that, you know, you can do when you're relaxed, I suppose, or holidays. There we go. A couple of more passes. I don't want too much on here, so this is the only time I will wipe my brush. There we go. Do this side. It's funny, I've only really been doing this for 20 years or so, but I mean this particular style of logs and stuff like that, it's most of the time, when I first started back in the 80s, I was heavily involved with pro surfers and so forth, like top 16 surfers, and I was doing all this lightweight glassing And I really loved it at the time, but couldn't care for it now. Now I'm all about just surfers, you know, and I'm really enjoying this sort of part of the surfing, doing these old style logs and everything. You know, there's such a big market. I got the other two going to California, and you know, for me, I'm pretty stoked with that, because that's like, you know, sending something to the capital of, in a sense of, you know, surfing. That's one of the places, apart from Hawaii, where it, you know, this whole thing sort of started, and they had a pretty serious industry and still have a pretty serious industry. So pretty happy to be in that market and being considered in that market. That's a pretty good thing. I'm pretty proud of that. Now, sorry, I'm just letting that settle. Okay, it's coming along good. So I'm just going to pull off a couple of these, because I want to take the center off straight away, because if I take the middle off, it won't run onto itself. So this is the time to do it. Go, take that to here, and just pull this up here. This is how you get a nice perfect line by taking it off when it's wet. But you've got to be very careful, because if you take it off when it's wet and it runs down the rail, bad result. Okay, see how that line's perfect? Yeah, because it's not going to run either way, because it's flat. But when you have you want to run away from you. Sorry, I've got to separate this. There's a bit of a stuff up there. It'll come undone. I've got plenty of time. There we go. Lift this up. There we go. Now just lift this up. Right, now I'm just going to clean my brush. I just want to check this. I've got to keep an eye on this, because you don't want it to gel too late. I'm going to take the excess off first. Less chance of you having a drip back on the board. I'll take the last piece off just after it gels in the pot. And the reason you do that is, if it gels in the pot, it means it's not going to gel on the board for a couple of minutes after that. And I'm taking this off because if you're trying to pull off too much tape in one go, that's when something normally does go wrong. So by doing it this way, I'm just being a little bit more cautious, as you could say. There we go. I'm just going to wait a sec. There we go. It's just kicking in the pot now. Now I can take this off. And you pull it up over itself. There we go. You pull it up and more leaning over the pigment. And that way, less chance of it not creating a perfect line. There we go. Get rid of that. See how the line's absolutely perfect. There's no blemishes. That's because I pulled it off before it gelled. Like that hasn't gelled on the board yet, but it has here. Okay, so I'll just give my hands a clean. Yeah, so it's pretty, in some ways it is a little bit tricky, but it's not. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite simple. It's just a matter of the right time. All I'm doing here, I'm just going to get rid of these easy bits, like that bit there. It's perfect. That'll clean up the blade tomorrow. You'll see when I clean it up, you put a straight edge there and scrape it with the blade and you get it perfect. But see how there's no, that's pretty good, that's pretty straight, a little nick there, but I'll just put the thing on there and clean it up. Okay, but that's acceptable, that's what it normally looks like. It's never absolutely, you know, not a slight imperfection somewhere, but that's pretty, but that's what it looks like an old board. That's how they were. There we go. That's like that. Now, and tomorrow as well, when I clean this up, I'll be using the wet and dry to give it a clean as well, to get all the glue from the I'll just give this brush a touch more. You do waste a little bit of acetone, but these brushes aren't cheap, so it's not huge waste, but you clean it till it's clean, and then I'll put it in here. There we go. So that'll sit in there, nice clean. I'll use that on Mike's board, that brush, because Mike's board's going to be, what's the colour? Oh God, I forget now. Sage. There we go. So that looks good. I'll get rid of that. See how that's hard in the pot now? I'll just chuck that down there. There we have it. Panels on the top. As I say, this is so old school, like in the 50s. That's the whole idea of the shape. It doesn't feel like a modern rail. It doesn't feel, like Mike explained it good, it says it feels like a soup can. And that's the best way to describe it. Completely round. It's not an over-shaped rail. It's not a 60-40 rail hiding in this, which would make it a modern board. I'm not interested in it being like this. This is like, and they all varied from the old days. You had some, you know, really unusual rails, but this is still very much, see, completely round. And there's no 60-40ness to that. Now, the only thing I've got to do now is I've got to do no more pigment. So what I'm going to do is this is going to go in my dirty acetone, not because it's bad, but because I've run out of sort of dirty acetone, so to speak, for my resin to go off in. So what I'll do is I will whack, I'll renew this acetone. And you'll see what I'm doing, I'm just cleaning this out. All my excess resin I now pour into this container and it'll go hard. So I'll get rid of that there, put clean acetone in this. This will keep the brush perfect. See, that stores in there. And then I'll just give my hand a quick clean. There we go. Right. Excuse me. That will do, donkey. So that can sit there. That's done. I'll just shut that off. Looking nice. Yeah. As I say, the blue's like a real antique sort of blue. It's just like the difference between white and antique white. That looks pretty darn good there. Might just put a bit of plastic under that. Not that it's going to stick, but just do that. Now this board, when it's just finish coated and uncut, that's what will make it look old as well. Okay, so that's part of the whole thing. I will cut back the bead on the rail, but that's only that little bit there. The rest will be left uncut. Look really great. Righto, so that's it. I'll do my normal turn off everything. Done. Aircon's on. Got to control the temperature of my room. So that's it. tomorrow I'll just clean up those little knickknacks, wet and dry it, roughly, I'll get a little glue and stuff off it, and then finish coat it, natural finish coats. And this flat deck